Those who listen to my last lecture will probably think, that's why it's impossible to attain attainment in one lifetime. That's why it is written in the sutras that it takes more than 1,000 rebirths for a bodhisattva to become a Mahayana Buddha. Let us turn, for example, to the attainment of Raja Yoga. In India, the birthplace of yoga, millions of people engage in spiritual practice. But only 1 or 2 of them can achieve Raja Yoga in 10 years. But this is only Raja Yoga, the starting point of the Great Chariot. From this we can conclude that this path is really long and harsh. Then come Kundalini Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Mahayana Yoga, Astral Yoga, Causal Yoga, and finally Mahayana. But then it all takes an incredibly long time. And then the question arises, isn't there any way to speed up the process of practice? How do we speed up the process? Now I'm going to talk about the ways of practice that are the key to achieving each of these yogas. To love all living beings. I'm going to start with Raja Yoga, the first yoga in which you have to achieve perfection after completing the process of the 4 walking and the 4 fruits. Going to enter the stream of truth, entering the stream of truth, going to single return, reaching single return, going to non-returning, non-returning again, going to the step of Arhat, reaching the step of Arhat. To achieve Raja Yoga requires, above all, non-violence. Non-violence means that you have to love all living beings. Sakyamuni also preached non-violence. In later Buddhism, the precept of non-violence was replaced by the precept of, thou shalt not kill, because the original restriction seemed too harsh. As you may realize, non-violence includes the precept, thou shalt not kill. I will use the term, thou shalt not kill, since it makes more sense to you. Why is the commandment, thou shalt not kill, necessary? Because killing is born of anger in the soul. And the background of anger is a work of the mind where a distinction is made between oneself and others. For example, when one thinks, I want to be happy, even if I have to destroy others to be happy. In television programs you can see advertisements for insect repellents. I once saw such an ad, but I am convinced that there are other kinds of ads encouraging people all over the country to kill insects. This idea is generated by a consciousness of superiority. People better know how to deal with these insignificant insects, and anger. Let's destroy these pesky creatures. However, this is strange. The human world also has a very low position in the structure of the universe. It is 4th from the bottom. Would it be good, do you think, if the inhabitants of worlds higher than the human world, such as the inhabitants of the world of heaven, declared, let's destroy those pesky beings? If one has this idea of superiority and anger that is so far from the truth, it means that one is not in the holy stream, but in the devil's stream. All living beings have the right to live because in the course of their lives they eliminate their karma. This applies not only to humans, but also to insects, cats, and dogs. They all have a true ego. They have a true ego so that, no matter how long it takes them to reincarnate, they can eventually enter the world of absolute freedom and happiness. This is why we can say that all living beings are equal. If you understand this, you will be able to love all living beings and treat them kindly. Sacrifice. Let's talk about the second important thing about Raja Yoga, which is the observance of the commandment, don't be greedy, don't steal other people's things, and also the need to observe the commandment, sacrifice. Let me explain this. If you are seized by greed or steal things from other people, you are, of course, doing harm to your soul. But not only that. As a result you become attached to this world of gross dimensions, a world that is based on matter. And this is natural, because everything you steal belongs to the world of the gross dimension. In the process of spiritual practice, one goes to the astral and causal worlds by renouncing the gross dimension. However, if stealing binds you to the world of the gross dimension, you will move in exactly the opposite direction. You will not be able to experience the other worlds, nor will you be able to have an experience with them. This is why the commandment, "Don't be greedy, don't steal," is necessary. Is that clear? In essence, the observance of the commandment, "Thou shalt not be greedy, thou shalt not steal," is a passive method. The active method, which is an order of magnitude more advanced, is sacrifice. Do not commit adultery. The commandment, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," is also important. Its meaning is that you must not lose sexual energy, for the reason that Sakyamuni Buddha in his Law of the Stages of Emergence of the 12 Conditions revealed the process of Kundalini Yoga. The same applies to Raja Yoga, because the will, the basis of Raja Yoga, weakens if one loses sexual energy. Sexual energy is the same as vital energy. Therefore, by expending vital energy on Shaktipat, the Raja Yogi achiever can easily lose his state of attainment, because the Raja Yogi achiever has less vital energy compared to the Kundalini Yogi achiever. In other words, the Raja Yogi achiever, unlike the Kundalini Yogi achiever, cannot conduct Shaktipat. When the Raja Yogi loses his vital energy, sexual energy, his will weakens and something like a protective shell around him breaks down. The control of the senses, or, to use a special term, pratyahara, is broken, and he becomes an ordinary person again. This is why in Raja Yoga the leakage of sexual energy is totally unacceptable. Do not lie. Also, in Raja Yoga the commandment, "Do not lie," is particularly important. There are different kinds of lies. For example, not doing exactly what one intends is classified as a passive lie. Some people lie intentionally. It is an active lie. Active lies are easy to overcome. Passive lies are much harder to get rid of. You probably think there is little harm in a little passive lying because it doesn't bother others. However, even passive lying is unacceptable. You must not allow passive lying, even if it does not benefit you. Try to keep the commandment, "Don't lie," for a while. Try to keep it for at least 3 months and 10 days, that is 100 days. Your will is then strengthened and you will be able to make considerable progress in your practice. Now I'll tell you why one mustn't lie. First of all, the will obeys the commands of the true ego. Suppose a command came from the true ego, "I want to practice." The will, having received this command, gets to work. And you promise yourself, "I will take up spiritual practice today." But if your will is weak, you seek comfort and delay keeping your promise, saying, "I'll do it tomorrow since I'm tired today," or, "I can do it afterwards," or, "I can put it off until the day after tomorrow." In other words, the will does not act, even if true ego commands it. The will amuses itself somewhere else, wherever it wants. And the longer such a state remains unchanged, the worse your situation becomes. In this case, liberation will naturally be delayed and remain unrealized. Now do you understand why passive lying is also unacceptable? In regard to active lying, it is not allowed because to hurt or deceive people is bad karma for us, and this also creates a big problem for us in getting to liberation. Don't lose energy. Mr. A has achieved Raja Yoga, and I constantly warn him not to lose energy. He is of course observing the forbidding precepts. However, he loses energy at Shaktipat. That's why I give him 2 pieces of advice. The most important thing is to accumulate more energy and to strengthen his will even more. If one does not achieve perfection in Raja Yoga with this, then one cannot go to the second process in the Mahayana Yogas, Kundalini Yoga, will be impossible. The disadvantage of Raja Yoga is that the waste of energy causes you to lose what you have achieved. That's why Raja Yoga Guru usually gives Shaktipat only to those disciples who have significantly advanced in their practice. For when energy is exchanged with people who are far advanced in spiritual practice, there will be little loss of energy. Shaktipatas, which Mr. A also willingly gives to beginners, are a manifestation of the very spirit of the Great Chariot. If through the transmission of energy one advances in his practice, one may also suffer for the sake of it. The use of alcohol is also strictly forbidden in Raja Yoga, because when one consumes alcohol, one cannot control the world of will. At the heart of Raja Yoga, however, is willpower. I think the most important thing I've said is to keep the commandment, don't allow passive lying. First of all, you have to do everything you've planned, everything you've said. Sacrifice is the basis of merit accumulation. So far I've talked about forbidding commandments. But I'm sure you know about the commandments' recommendations. There are 3 kinds of sacrifice. The first kind of sacrifice is the sacrifice of money and things. There are 3 ways to sacrifice money and things. The way that becomes the highest merit is to sacrifice to the stream of truth. Through such sacrifices you will certainly be able to meet the truth in your future life as well. Practitioners of the truth are naturally engaged in the activity of salvation. From them, therefore, you will be able to receive the strength that will enable you to overcome the difficulties that arise. The next way is to donate to the poor. The poor, here I do not mean those people who remain without food because they do not work. I am talking about people who cannot provide for themselves even if they work, or people who cannot feed themselves because they are unemployed. If you make large donations to such people, then at a time when you don't have food, someone will surely come to your aid as well. Or in a future life someone will surely help you financially if you face hardship. There is a third way of giving that does not benefit too much. There is a third way we donate to charity, which is not very generous, like schools, NGOs or charities. Some may think that donations to charities are effective. In reality, it is not, because the management of the organization will use the money you donate as they see fit. So, the first one was donating money and things. The second was the serenity sacrifice. The best way to donate comfort is to listen to others suffering and give them comfort when you yourself are suffering immeasurably. With this merit, someone will be sure to be there for you and listen to your sorrows when you are truly suffering. To listen to other people's suffering and to bring them comfort when you yourself are happy is not so great a merit. I don't mean at all that you shouldn't do that in such a case. My point is simply that you should continue to practice the sacrifice of calm even when you yourself are suffering. The third is the sacrifice of the law. A good way to sacrifice the law is to transmit the truth directly. But since you are not yet a person who has reached, it is possible that the information you convey may be wrong because you add your own meaning to it. So the best option is to give people or read aloud books that tell them about the truth. Or you can let people listen to tapes of talks about the truth. The sacrifice of the law is what the highest merit is. If by these sacrifices you persistently accumulate merit and observe the precepts mentioned earlier, you will certainly be able to advance rapidly in your spiritual practice and attain Raja Yoga. Processes following Raja Yoga. Having completed the process of perfection in Raja Yoga, one moves on to Kundalini Yoga. Those who have gone on to this process are very energetic. They also have a strong will. In Kundalini Yoga, the energy is important. What is important is how one can accumulate life energy. Generally, the sexual drive is very strong when one starts Kundalini Yoga. This sexual desire is the same as the desire to live. One begins to raise the energy of desire to live until it bursts through the Sahasrara chakra located on the top of the head. Reaching Kundalini Yoga is the step where the energy reaches the causal world and then Mahayana. If one continues to expand one's energy channels after that, one reaches perfection in Kundalini Yoga. During this period one reaches a state where one does not feel a lack of energy. At the same time the energy stimulates the brain, creating a special type of brain, the brain of a genius. Then there is the process of Jnana Yoga. At this stage, one begins to analyze all phenomena in a state where sexual desire has already been overcome. Following this process, the winner in truth, Sakyamuni, by comprehensively analyzing all phenomena in this universe, attained enlightenment and liberation. So that more people can encounter this knowledge, please like it and add to your subscriptions.